The species you assign to garbage duty is the only reason your children are still breathing.
The council chamber was built to make panic feel improper. White stone, quiet light, layers of polished air filtration. Every surface said the same thing. Civilization is what happens when danger is kept outside. But danger had already crossed the threshold. The living plague from Kepri 9 had appeared again, this time inside a core transit spindle so pristine, the galaxy once used it as proof that progress could erase biology.
You called humans expendable, primitive, contamination-tolerant. Fine, then explain why every refined response failed and a deathworld rescue crew brought back the only useful evidence we possess.
Elias Vance was not seated inside the chamber. He stood behind a layered quarantine wall beneath clean blue scan lights, like a witness and a warning at the same time.
I did not bring you a theory. I brought you station logs, route data, and 12 survivors who are alive because humans stayed where your containment doctrine told everyone else to run.
No one thanked him. Some would not even look at him directly. To the core worlds, Elias was not a rescuer. He was a frontier artifact that had learned to speak in rooms above his station.
The plague was built to bloom in polished air systems, climate-stable habitats, and fully sterilized care environments. If it is in the spindle, your safest place just became your weakest point.
A counselor somewhere behind the mirrored glass called Elias reckless, which was the refined word for human. Another called his crew contaminated, which was the polite word for disposable.
You can insult my crew after the emergency. Right now you have a living system-level outbreak moving through passenger infrastructure designed to reward uniformity. That is not philosophy, that is math.
And if you keep treating him like a biohazard instead of a source, you will deserve what happens next.
Toma Reeve looked even worse under civilized lighting. The core preferred its suffering distant. Up close, it made too many things obvious.
You want the simple version. The cleaner a room was, the faster that thing fed. Fresh filters, polished floors, sealed med wards, perfect climate. It loved all of it. Dirty maintenance ducts slowed it. Human work bays slowed it. Places with heat swings, bad airflow, mixed contaminants, patched filters, grease, dust, and old damage. The kind of places your species pays mind to crawl through. On Kepri 9, we lost a triage room in 6 minutes. 6, but the thing stalled for nearly 40 in a cracked service tunnel because the humidity kept shifting and the duct slime fouled whatever growth pattern it wanted. I know how insane that sounds. I watched it happen anyway.
That was the insult underneath the science. Human labor had been pushed into every ugly system in the network, and those ugly systems had taught humans how the plague failed.
You dismissed their environments as shameful. Now those environments are the only comparative dataset that matters. Open the sealed epidemiology archives, full labor route exposure history, frontier maintenance records, sterility compliance deviations, all of it.
The request should have been impossible. Instead, a hidden archive iris opened in the chamber floor and rose a cylinder of restricted medical records from beneath the council dais. With it came the one expert the Corps still trusted to interpret disaster without panic.
Dr. Lyra Sen, Corps Epidemiology Directorate. And before anyone says what this room clearly wants to say, yes, I have reviewed the Kepri 9 packet. My first assessment was that the human crew survived by a mix of brute tolerance, procedural luck, and frontier improvisation. I am here to determine whether that assessment still holds. I also want the unredacted casualty gradients from every sterile habitat incident on the inner lanes. If this organism truly prefers controlled environments, then the pattern will not begin at Kepri 9. It will begin wherever comfort became ecological weakness.
Good, I'd rather be disproven by the right person than ignored by the wrong room.
Commander, surviving one outbreak site does not prove species-wide superiority. It proves one mission did not fail.
Then stop listening for pride, start listening for pattern.
We are not saying humans are magic. We are saying your clean worlds built the perfect throat for this thing to crawl down.
Lyra did not flinch at the language. That was the first sign she might be useful. She was not defending prestige. She was measuring failure.
Then show me comparison, not conviction. Show me why human work zones slowed transmission when elite habitats accelerated it.
And show it quickly. The chamber spent years treating human hardship as background infrastructure. I would like the record to reflect how expensive that arrogance has become.
The archive wall lit up with route maps, contamination curves, labor assignment records, and maintenance classifications stretching across decades.
Here, frontier waste reclamation, human-run mixed air, irregular filters, slow spread. Here, salvage dock clusters, human-run repaired systems, temperature variation, slow spread again.
Now compare your prestige corridors, medical spindles, diplomatic halls, child transit decks, perfect air, perfect surfaces, perfect panic. That's where it blooms.
This is not random resilience. These are environmental incompatibilities. Human-assigned systems are too variable, too impure, too physically abused to support optimal transmission. The organism wants consistency. Stable air, predictable surface chemistry, repeatable microbial scarcity. In a frontier maintenance grid, it keeps encountering noise. In a prestige habitat, it finds a clean algorithm and runs wild.
You built worlds that assume order is safety. We built crews that survive when order breaks. That is why we are still standing here.
There it was, the room's central sin translated into language the room could finally hear. The galaxy had not merely underestimated humans. It had structured itself to need them while refusing to learn from the places it forced them to survive.
Your contempt for human conditions did not just blind you morally, it blinded you diagnostically.
Lyra pulled a fresh alert stream from the core network. For a moment her calm held, then it broke.
No, that cannot be the active ring.
What is it?
The infection is not in a freight annex. It is in the main passenger ring of the Aster Gate evacuation spindle. Families, medical transfers, diplomatic transit, school corridors, cryo-nursery traffic. If that ring locks down wrong, the body count becomes incalculable.
Then you do not seal the ring and pray. You flood it with adaptive crews, break environmental consistency, vent non-critical corridors in rotating sections, and shut down every prestige protocol that slows human entry.
You are recommending controlled disorder in the core of a civilian evacuation hub.
I am recommending that your people stay alive long enough to complain about it later.
At last, the chamber understood the scale, not because frontier humans were dying, because core civilians might.
Then every second spent preserving your pride is now an act of sabotage.
Lyra went back to the archive stack, this time hunting for origin logic instead of response logic. Her silence lasted too long.
These design markers, they are cross-referenced against labor route bioexposure logs, frontier maintenance lungs, salvage pathogen tolerance, contamination incident recovery times. Someone used human overexposure data as a development baseline.
So we were not surviving around the weapon, we were in its blueprints.
They built it against the systems humans were forced to work in, then released it into the clean worlds that thought those systems beneath them.
There are trial tags here, failed adaptation branches. They tuned virulence against human-heavy service sectors, then optimized spread for elite transit environments. This was not an outbreak that escaped a lab. This was a deployment model.
Not negligence, design, not prejudice alone, exploitation refined into strategy.
The galaxy had laughed at Earth for being a death world. Now the laughter was trapped in a sealed chamber with proof that humanity had been studied, used, and nearly erased by the same civilization that still needed it alive. And out in the core, the cleanest station in the network was already starting to breathe.